Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. It's time to start locking in, isn't it? Let's lock in as much as we can. We've had all the friendlies. We've had all the discussions. We've changed our minds over the last 3 or 4 weeks, something like a gazillion times. I'm very, very close now. I think made most of my major decisions. And I think what I'm about to go through will be pretty much it. Anything could, obviously, we're on Monday now, so we're just still, I guess, 4 or 5 days now till deadline time. So things can still happen in training. So we'll obviously be watching the pressers with interest. Let's just review the things that, and I've spoken to them, these points in videos across the last 4 or 5 weeks, I guess, in the various videos, in terms of my own strategy, objectives, the things that are important to me, how it fits with my own strategy, trying to avoid the mistakes of the past. And we'll talk a little bit to that. You'll see I've got my graph from last season down in the bottom right there. And a few of you will have obviously seen that before across last season. So it's fairly obvious, as you can see there, early in the season where the big error was. So that's what we need to avoid this time round, because if I hadn't had that, there's no doubt I'd have been in the top 10, top 5k. Maybe better. So let's see if we can get that consistency going again, as you can see throughout the rest of the season, but a lot earlier, basically not having that big dip. There's going to be a dip at the beginning of the season. There is always going to be, especially if you get off to a strong start. You're going to get people playing their chips early. Obviously, there's going to be bench boosters, triple captainers, the fly-by-nighters looking for that one day of glory to be at number one. There's always going to be a dip, but I just don't want a dip like that really took a bit to recover, and then obviously it was very, very consistent across the rest of the season. Nice, generally a nice steady rise up to 55k, but it could have been so much better. Let's just review what I'm trying to achieve. My overall objective, I speak about it a lot, and I will speak about it right across the season, is to try and achieve that 70-point average. Last year I finished on just over, I think it was 67 points. It wasn't bad. Could have been a lot better, as I say, if I could have avoided certain schoolboy errors, to be quite frank. Having 11 definite starters, particularly in these early weeks, where I will be going with a light bench. I did a video a few weeks ago where I reviewed the top 50, focusing on the top 5 and spot checks across the top 50, around their strategies for last season and how they did so well. And there was 2 very, very common themes. Really, really light bench to start with until they had built up squad value. I'll talk to that in a minute. But very, very light bench. Usually, one reasonable playing defender, possibly 2, and pretty light on the attack side. So really, the money going into the team, but enough cover on the bench. Even if it is just a playing 4 million and a reasonable first 4.5 up first, so that if there was an injury, which obviously we can get those at the beginning of the season, so they can sort of play through it and without taking hits. Hits don't work. I did, as I say, a special video on that. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. On average, they don't. There's a little poem there, wasn't there, Desmond? So, yeah, average 70, definite starters. Ideally looking for those 90-minute men. Another video I did was around, where most goals are scored, in the Premier League, and 40% of goals are scored in that last 30 minutes. The highest percentage of that 40% are scored in the last 10 minutes. Ideally, and it's tricky this time around, but you ideally want your best players on the pitch right up to the end, particularly those last few minutes. I like to pick players with a high upside, and this new bonus point system is challenging me greatly on that. So I like to see 11 players out there with whole potential. The simple fact is, in any given game week, most of your points are going to come from just 5 or 6 players. 1 or 2 of them are hauling, great. And the following week, it might be the other ones that get you your points and someone else hauling. But generally, and I think that's going to change a little bit this season, to be honest with you, but in general, most of your points come from 5 or 6 players. And then you hopefully just pick up, a little bit of something, even if it's just to say full appearance points, maybe a clean sheet point from midfield, something like that, just to get you towards that 70 points or indeed above. So, strategy at the moment. This is where I will talk a little bit. I hope that graph is large enough for you to see down the bottom. Last year, I did go out aggressively. I did play a very early free hit, albeit a bit almost by accident, to be honest with you, in game week 1. And then had a very good week, though, even with only getting 3 points off the bench boost. I had an excellent game week 2, 87 points. Sorry, look, rephrase that. I did free hit, the same as I'm planning to do this year, possibly. Started out with a 87 pointer in game week 1. That dropped to 77 points on a free hit in game week 2. Wasn't bad, but my original team, my game week 1 team, would have actually got me another 85, 86 points. So it was maybe mistake number 1, is that I got myself ahead of the curve. So I think, even though I'm planning that same strategy this year, if this team does go out, that I'm finalising now, does go out and do really well, I might waive doing the free hit. If I suddenly do come in with that 80, 90, yay, 100 points, you never know. Don't worry, don't do the free hit. That's because it will be handy to save it if I built that 70-point buffer. Because as I said, 70-point average will get you, or in theory should get you, a little bit different this year, but I still think it will get you just inside that top 10k. Maybe even, it certainly would have got you inside the top 5k last year. So possibly free hit 2. Did that last year. It wasn't a bad free hit, but I shouldn't have done it. I was already ahead of the game. Game week 3 went very well for me again. I had a really good solid 70 plus score. Now, although I know you see me dropping there, this is because, as I say, you had all these people charging in with their chips. I was actually doing quite well in terms of the ranks, and I wasn't worried about a lot of the people that were playing their early chips. I was pretty sure I could run them down. As I say, they were mostly the fly-by-nighters. Then I think it was it game week? Yeah, I think it was game week 4 or 5, whatever. There was a little bit of panic set in. My team was running along nicely. A little bit of panic set in. Haaland was hauling. Salah was hauling. I already had Salah. All was well with the world, and I had a really nice balanced team. And of course, panic. No panic days. Played my wild card, and you can see, poof, dropped like a stone. Couple of reasonable game weeks, but then Haaland fell off. I'd lost that balance in the team of hitting that nice, good spread of points, seeing the averages, starting to fill out my spreadsheet. Nice balance, bang, and you can see absolute disaster. Took some hits to correct things. Got in with 8 or 9, and immediately the climb started, and it just was incredibly consistent then across the rest of the season. I mean, I easily, from about game week 8 or 9, was hitting and surpassing the 70 points average. As I say, it's that big dip that I've got to avoid, that mistake. Even though I'm playing a similar strategy, it is obviously less risky this time, in that we have double chips. So I think trying to get that buffer, trying to get ahead of the curve, trying to get to game week 4, 5, or 6, where I will wildcard, because we'll see the patterns then, we'll see how this new bonus point system is affecting things, and try and get ahead of the curve of those that are doing what would normally be the rational thing to do, doing a wildcard 10, 11, 12. But we have the 5 rolling transfers still. Okay, so if I do that free hit around 4, 5, or 6, that should set me up to be able to roll a bit. There is a bit of a fixture turn around 11 or 12, so I should be able to adjust things then again if necessary. But as I say, if I'm ticking along nicely, the spreadsheet's ticking along, I'm hitting my averages of 4 for my keeper, 5 for my defenders, 6 for my midfielders, 7 for my strikers, I will be getting in and around that 70 points average, and that is the aim. We'll obviously talk more about that frequently across the season, but after I have finalised this draft, which we will be doing sort of semi-live, and that I'm doing it here with you guys now, then we'll get that in the spreadsheet with some projections. But as it could potentially be just a 2-game week team, again, we shouldn't read too much into it. What I'm looking to find, without falling a million miles off the pace, in fact trying to keep myself up in the higher echelons, is see those patterns early and wildcards, so we are catching those players that we have not even thought of yet. A few more popped out at me just over the weekend. Who did I watched way too much football, friendly matches over the last few days, just trying to get a handle on a few things. Zubimendi, never even thought about him. Arsenal, he was fantastic. Got an assist. He was absolutely immense, and I think he'd have picked up the defensive points as well. Not sure on that, but look, he was immense. 5.5 million. Is he going to be a starter for Arsenal? Might be starting. He looked amazing. Rangers, high risk, high reward. Plays into. I've got Anderson, as you know. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Rangers, Man City, Pep Roulette. He looked really good. Really, 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 really good. There's so much to think about, but it is time to finalize. What have I done? What have I decided? I don't even know myself yet. Let's have a look. Let's work through this and see what the final one looks like. There are some easy answers. There's still a few. I think I've made decisions, but we'll see. Right, let's start with a big one. I'm not going to go through these in any particular order of appearance, actually. Let's talk about Mo Salah. Wasn't great, was it? Wasn't great. However, he shall remain, as I say, Mo Salah is probably just for a few game weeks for me. It might not be for Christmas. Remember, my original strategy at the beginning, when I was just doing like a normal draft, to see me through, was the no Salah Haaland. But as I sort of revised my strategy, I felt it made sense to bring him in for this Bournemouth fixture, a home fixture against Bournemouth, a decimated team. I do have concerns. I thought Liverpool looked absolutely amazing at times in that Charity Shield match, but they look defensively, they look frail, vulnerable, and a bit all at sea, and they can be got at. But their attack is a fully functioning attack, but it went by Salah a bit at times. Should have still had maybe a return or two, though. Even in a crap game, he should have had a return or two. I noted that maybe once or twice he laid the ball off trying to maybe set other people up where he would have normally got greedy Salah going for goal. Maybe he's like, trying to set up, some other players where I think would have probably seen that more, Salah taking the chances for himself. I don't take the Charity Shield. I think they were all obviously wanted to win it, but I don't think they'll be losing any sleep over losing it. And I think they're trying to get the new boys in with some attacking returns, which happened. I'll talk more about that in a second. So Salah stays. Makes me nervous, but I think he has to stay. I think he has to stay, and probably will still keep the captaincy armband. But it would not surprise me if he doesn't do that great. But it is Bournemouth. That defence is Kirkus, Hoyson. It's just, yeah, that defence is. I think the defence is there to be gotten at. I think Liverpool at Anfield, first fixture of the season. I think they'll be looking to get off to a flyer. So yeah, we're definitely going with that. And Salah's in for better or for worse. And I've thought about it since yesterday. We do take him out and put in Haaland, who has actually got Wolves away. Wolves don't look particularly fantastic pre-season, but we're going Salah. That's a decision made. Right. I thought this lad looked fantastic. He has been in every single one of my drafts. He just looks an absolute steal at 8.5. One of the other things I spoke about as well, and that we've got two contrasting things here actually. One which could endanger a particular strategy I have, and one which I think is going to help me, is squad value. I do believe, building that squad value early is so important. And me personally, I'm prepared to take chances with transfers, doing early transfers to beat price drops and catch price rises, because it really does help, when you get to sort of, around game week 10. Another point on that, one of the things with the early wildcard, if I do it in 4, that's right on the international break, which gives 2 weeks to play with your team as much as you want and try and catch price rises. And if it's a 0.2 price rise, you can actually get that back into your squad. But it's going to be incredibly volatile. That's just a little bit, a further point on my strategy in building that squad value. Here, I think I have a reward one and a risk one. If Salah blanks against Bournemouth and Verts at 8.5 million and Ekitike, Frimpong, these guys could well increase massively in value. Salah could drop like a stone, and I'm not going to be able to stop it. if I'm free hitting, you know. Um, Whereas the likes of Verts, that can just ride through the free hit week and rise in value. It's probably a risk I've got to take. It's a risk I've got to take. And as I say, it's by no means. I'd say it's about 70% that I will free hit to, particularly as I would like to bring in 3 Arsenal assets. And spoiler alert, I've wrestled with this. I have no Arsenal assets in this team, and I do think United are there to be got at. Attack wise, I think could potentially do quite well against Arsenal. Oh, but our midfield, yeah, our midfield frightens me. We can still be played through. I think attack-wise it looks good, but Bruno, if he's playing in that deeper role, it's not his role. It's not his role. It's not his role. I mean, it looks scary on one hand. Yeah, you're gonna have Mbembo on the right and Cunha on the left, and with Sesko, good price, 7.5. Keep an eye on that one. Up front, and but those sitting behind them, Bruno plus one Ugarte. I don't know. We're going to get played through. Oh, and that's Casemiro, which was the starter in the last friendly. I think Arsenal are going to score some goals against us, and it really does still have me wondering: would Jokeris be a good pick? I kind of made a decision now, and I'm not going there. I don't think I'm going there. Here we go again. Stick with the plan. There's got to lock in sometime, or it's going to be the mental asylum for you. But anyways, Salah, Verts, there we go. Let's go back. Let's talk about a little bit about the defence. There's been two guys that have been really consistent to a degree until I changed them down where I was looking to find some money. But I've gone back to them. These guys are going to be immense. These guys are going to be so consistent. I'm going to talk about them as a pair. Let's bring them back in. I'm absolutely not going without these guys. I'm really, really surprised by the low ownership from Milenkovic in particular. He's going to be a beast. Even if Forest do not keep a clean sheet, you don't expect them to concede much more than one goal in most games. So you're going to have an incredibly consistent 4-point man there. But he's dangerous on set pieces. Forest will keep clean sheets. This guy, honestly, he could be 170, 180 point defender. And as I spoke about, my 70-point averages, if I'm getting 5-point average out of my 3 defenders, that's a fantastic platform to be built upon. Milenkovic is going to be a beast. I think he's going to beat that comfortably by the end of the season. He could be literally a lock-in for the whole season for me. We'll see. Famous last words, but he I think in the last friendly he actually reached his bonus points inside 60 minutes, the 2 defensive bonus points. So if he's getting his 2 appearance points, he's getting his clean sheet points, he will score a few goals across the season. Well, it won't be prolific, but he will get the odd goal near and the assist flick on. There's going to be some 15, 16, 17 point holes in that lad's locker. The same for Tarkowski. We know Everton are actually a pretty stable side. They have got a decent defence. I thought about bringing Tarkowski down to O'Brien. And O'Brien probably would do reasonably well for me. But again, Tarkowski reached his bonus points inside the last friendly inside about 60 or 70 minutes. Now, will they do that? I think they could actually reach the bonus points against Leeds away, because obviously there's going to be some matches and maybe they dominate. But, both of those teams play the low block. So even in the easier fixtures, against a Leeds or a Sunderland, they're not really going to change their style too much. They'll still be playing that sort of low block. They will be getting in their interceptions and their clearances. I think you're going to see bonus points out of these guys. I'm going to say every second game, maybe 2 out of 3. If you're getting that consistently, and you will get clean sheets out of these 2 teams, we know that. History tells us you will get that. I just don't see they should be the 2 highest defenders in the game. I know people are going on about Van Dijk. After that Liverpool performance defensively, Van Dijk is going to be nowhere to be seen for me. And everywhere and his uncle seems to have Van Dijk and going, oh, look at his bonus points last year. That was a freak. If you actually look back, the season before that, the season before that, the season before that, he wasn't even close. However, he actually managed to get so many bonus points last year is an absolute mystery to me. I don't think we'll see that same pattern. If we do, fantastic. Both of these guys will beat, in my opinion, Van Dijk comfortably for bonus points, and they won't be far away from Liverpool in clean sheets. Liverpool, was it 11 or 12 clean sheets last year? They weren't that far behind, in the grand scheme of things. And I think there's definitely more goal threat from these guys. We'll see. Next 4 or 5 game weeks, all be told. But these two are probably two that will remain with me ongoing. The fixtures are good, even post a wildcard. The fixtures are good, and I think we'll see some really great numbers out of these. If you haven't got them, honestly, I'd put them in your team. I really would. Talking about goal threat. Okay, again, one I have wrestled with. I do think Spurs will be better defensively. I know Van de Ven seems to be the flavour of the month, but he's not really going to be much of an attacking threat. He's not going to be. Van de Ven's going to be a 2-pointer or a 6-pointer. Pedro Porro, I think, is going to be a 4-pointer or a 15, 16-pointer. Can't ignore that fixture against Burnley. With Maddison out, Porro is going to be on set pieces a lot. He'll be taking a lot of set pieces. And we should be getting a decent defensive contribution out of him as well. As I said, even if Spurs don't keep a clean sheet, I just feel that I like to have an advantage. Like I said, I do like the fun picks. I've been really wrestling, as you know, with whether I go with Frimpong. But when I looked at sort of the numbers, what Frimpong would have got for his goal, his appearance points, he lost his clean sheet. I don't see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet for the next few games. Porro actually just feels like a better bet for me at the moment, and he's 0.5 cheaper. I will definitely have a look at a Frimpong or an 8 Nori at some point in the future when, and that probably will be around wildcard time. What are their minutes like? Are those teams starting to keep, clean sheets and not giving away daft goals in the last fucking 5 minutes, which they did consistently last year? It was incredibly frustrating because, I do like to have those players with the high upside. And I think in those 3 defenders, Tarkowski and Milenkovic might not have thought of them in that sort of high upside area last year. I think we have to think of them like that now. And Pedro Porro absolutely is. And remember, this is a 4 or 5 game week play. This is not for the season. Porro may be one I suspect that could well make way in that wildcard 4, 5, or 6 when we really do start to see the DEFCON pattern of points. So that's it. So in terms of, that's it. I'm really happy with that defense. In goal, I did make a decision. I just don't like a defensive double up. So I have actually gone back to Sanchez. I thought Chelsea looked pretty decent, albeit against 10 men for most of that friendly. So we've gone back to Sanchez. Little bit nervous, particularly as that game is against Crystal Palace. But I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of defensive double ups because I was looking closely at Sells. Slight chance I may go back to Sells, but yeah, let's take the chance with Sanchez. There'll certainly be some save points there. Crystal Palace look bloody good. They really do. They really do. I really would like to bring in a Crystal Palace asset. There's some real tempters there. I'll talk about 1 or 2 of them later in this video. Those fixtures for Palace are tough, but they can get goals against anyone. Mateta looks brilliant. Sarr looks good. Eze looks okay as well. Can't have everyone on our teams. We have to make decisions. Okay, so reasonably easy choice. A little yellow flag there at the moment. Doesn't worry me too much because he's not going to be playing. But yeah, we'll have Dubravka. Yeah, what can you say? 4 million playing goalkeeper, highly probable playing goalkeeper. Grant just sit on the bench. We'll see if that yellow flag gets removed. I have absolutely no idea what that's about, to be honest with you. Then fairly quick on the defensive side. I am going with defensive subsides. So yeah, we'll just go with Esteve, whatever the hell his name is. 4 million, probably playing defender, fine. Can sit last on the bench, or can cover, in the event of a few injuries in the next couple of game weeks if needed. Fingers crossed not. Don't have to worry about that in 2, potentially maybe in 3, because just have 1 transfer obviously to cover me. in 3. So we'll see how that goes. You know, there's not without chances here. And this guy, I just think this is just a nice, fun pick, and it works very, very well for when I come back to game 3, because it gives me a nice attacking option, potentially some defensive bonus points. But he's looked very, very good. He looks as though he's locked in for United. Hopefully, United are starting to function a little bit by the time we get to Burnley at home in game week 3, because I'd like to get to a United double up for that. So that's it. You know, so obviously starting defenders for game week 1. It's Milenkovic, Pedro Porro, Tarkowski, and Sanchez. I like the look of it. Can I see 20 points in those 4, which would make me comfortably sort of, you know, getting that 5-point average out of all of them? Yeah, I think I can. But it's football. Anything can bloody happen. Of course it can. I'd certainly think, you know, a minimum, you know, there's 12 to 13 points there, which wouldn't be great from my targets, what I like to target. I can see 20 there. I can see more there. You know, a couple of attacking returns, a couple of clean sheets. Happy bloody days. All right, let's move back into the midfield. It's a little frustrating, wasn't it? Palmer's friendly, but he actually did play well. He's in. We've got to play a certain amount of safeness here. I was tempted. I had a little think about bringing Saka in because of what I said about that United midfield and defence. But I think we go with Palmer. It was a little bit frustrating. But he's actually looking good. He's looking more like his old self, and he's on those free kicks. He hit the post. He had a couple of other chances as well. He could go absolutely huge, and if he goes absolutely huge and you haven't got him, it's gonna hurt. It is really gonna hurt because he's you know, really, really highly owned, heading up towards that 50%, I think. So have to go there, I think. Um, Let's go with one that I know a lot of people don't disagree. I don't agree with, but he was in my very, 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 very first draft. You know, 4 or 5 weeks ago. He's staying. I've just got a feeling about him. I've got a feeling about him in this fixture that he's going to come through big for me. I know there are other options there. Yeah, absolutely. And I know people are flying Kudus' flag, but Kudus' numbers. I know it was at West Ham. Not great, you know, not great. Whereas Johnson's numbers are really, really good, and he's a lock-in now. I've spoken about it. You know, Thomas Frank loves an aggressive right winger. I mean, look what he turned Mbemo into. I think he's going to give this boy his wings. I think he's going to take off. I could be wrong. Just got a feeling about this. I think he's a lock-in. I think he's a guaranteed starter. I think he'll be on the pitch for most of the nights. It might be a 70 or 80 minute sub. That's what he's going to need. I rate Johnson. I think he's going to really kick on this season. I don't need him to kick on for the season. I just need him to kick on for the next 3 matches. Well, just 1 and 3 to be honest with you. And they're good fixtures. Really, really. This team, by and large, swings back really nicely for me in game 3. Right, this one's a really tricky one. I've spoken about it. You know, you can see I'm really going for players with that high upside. And I can't see any of those I've locked in so far changing. This is one where I'm still questioning myself. And I'm even here. I think I've got it locked in, but let's bring him up. I think it is a lock in. Just a nice little safe pick. Goes against my nature, particularly what I want to do in these first 4 or 5 game weeks is really, really gun for it. 5.5 million. Anderson, almost guaranteed your defensive bonus points, defensive action bonus points. Pretty decent chance of he's actually not, he doesn't get booked that often either, so really good chance that you actually get your two appearance points, nice clean appearance points, and a pretty decent chance of a clean sheet with Forest at home to a very, very blunted Brentford. Mbeumo's gone. Wizards on strike. Sade's injured. Norgard's gone to Arsenal. I mean, that team is devastated. I mean, you know, and there's no 2 ways about it. Defensively, they might be okay. I don't think too much damage has been done to their defence. This game has got 0-0 written all over it, in all honesty. Yeah, maybe I should go back to cells. Um, I think it's a lock-in. I'd say of all of them, it's probably the one that's most questionable. What would suit my style much, much more would be to throw reindeers in there, throw a reindeer in there and say to hell with it. That guy will probably get my defensive returns. City may or may not. I don't think they will keep a clean sheet. I think City's defence very iffy at the moment as well. But he could very, very easily get a goal or an assist or something. But one of the things I do want to try and see from this team, what will help me as I monitor it, obviously in the game, and a lot of others as well, is to see, what's going to work best. Those steady eddies, like an Anderson. Does Declan Rice come into play at some point in the season? That may not get you those sort of big attacking returns, but they're going to pull you in that sort of 5, 6, 7 regular. We're going to go with Anderson for right or for wrong, possibly both. Okay, where do we go from here? Okay, so I think most of those so far are nailed on starters, apart from Anderson. Anderson is on set pieces, you never know. There is a little bit of haul potential, but mostly a bit of haul potential in all of them. And most of them should certainly see through, certainly past 70 minutes, and a fair chunk of them up to the 90 minutes, as I say, for those goals that do frequently come in that last 30 minutes. Next choice goes against that grain, but I think this comes into the more cautionary Des. So we are going to go João Pedro. We are going to go João Pedro. Simply, he's got 54% ownership. He could do a lot of damage if he goes off, and he is capable of going off. He is looking bloody good. Problem is, of course, that what's his name? Bloody hell, his name's gone out of my head. Come back to me in a second. Came on in the friendly in the second half and got 2 goals. But João Pedro did get his goal. He's looked really good. Pretty confident he's going to start. And he is owned by 54% of the player base. Kind of got to have him at this stage. But he will be, as we've seen, he'll be subbed on, 20 minutes to go, maybe even 30. But he's capable of doing some damage. We know he'll be on penalties as well. He is on penalties. Although the other lad did take a very fine penalty as well when he was off the pitch. And of course he won't be on penalty. What the hell am I saying? Palmer was off the pitch. Sorry, Des. But talking to Palmer, I do like the link up. I like link ups. I like the way Palmer and Pedro are linking up, creating chances. João Pedro won the penalty, didn't he? He did. Pretty sure he did. I've really lost it there. I've watched way too much football. Sure, João Pedro won a penalty. No, I'm thinking of bloody Mateta. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but João Pedro's looking really, really good. He's looking very, very good. Great link-up play with Palmer. You can see that been an absolutely deadly partnership. And to say at 54% ownership, I think you kind of have to have him, even if he won't be that 90-minute man. He's certainly showing. He's certainly showing enjoying life at Chelsea. Certainly pre-season, his confidence is high. Yeah, you can easily see him getting a goal or two, can't you, in this one? So can't really bet against that and go differential. I'm happy to go differential in some areas like your Johnsons, etc. But not on that one. This one has been the trickiest of the lot, though, and I'm actually, as I watch other content providers, there's a lot of struggling with this, and that is the strikers. I mean, I really did toy with the idea of just taking Salah out and putting Haaland up there and playing a 4-5-1. Didn't feel good. Didn't feel great, to be honest with you. So not doing that, but I toyed with the idea because it is up front where I'm having everyone's having dilemmas about which strikers to pick. We've obviously it's the Solanke thing that's thrown the whole bloody thing skew with, hasn't it? And I think at this stage we definitely have to write Solanke off. It is not a happening thing. If I get a surprise, maybe I'll change my mind. If we get an absolute surprise, it ain't going to happen. And Solanke starts this match in a few days' time. That ain't going to be happening. He might get a few minutes, but I don't think it's going to be enough to risk him as a starter, however attractive the fixture. So, options to me, have a fairly easy path to Watkins. And absolutely, if I was setting this team out and it was like, this was like, setting the team out and not planning to do the free hit wildcard thing, Watkins would be first on the team sheet. Mr. Consistency, season after season. But I ain't doing that. And to get Watkins in, I'd probably have to bring Pedro Porro, down to a Van de Ven, or bring Milenkovic down to probably be Tarkowski down to O'Brien or something. Don't really want to do that. Don't really want to do that for some of the reasons that I've stated earlier in this video. So from ruling Watkins out, where do we go? Mateta. Love Mateta. I really, really do. He is looking fantastic. Palace are looking really good. Mateta can score against anyone, and he is explosive. Gyökeres, United, the clown. It looks like the clown's back in goal. Scary times ahead for United. Is Donnarumma going to come? Oh, it's tough being a United fan. It really is. Fair play. To what's been signed for up front. I think that could be definitely. I think we'll be looking at United assets at some point. Certainly be looking at bringing in another one for game week 3, just to bolster this side and probably take out a Liverpool asset. Could well be Salah, to be honest with you. Bring in Bruno Fernandes, or maybe I might have a little look at Sesko. Could be a little narrative written there. I mean, is there a narrative written for this game? Sesko 7.5, playing against Arsenal. They went Gyökeres, but Sesko was their original choice, but the deal became too hard, so they got Gyökeres. And we've got Sesko. Is there a narrative written there? And you just think, fuck it. Let's go really against the grain and bring in Sesko. No. No freaking way. Can't be 100%. Certainly he's going to be starting anyways, Sesko. Simply because he's had no minutes for United yet. They have arranged a little to give him some minutes, so I do believe we will see him against Arsenal. So they have arranged a pre-season friendly behind closed doors to give him a little bit of game time, but not enough for me to take a risk on. Joker is really, really tempted. It wouldn't be too hard for me to get. Well, I could, yeah. Wouldn't be hard for me to get to Joker at all. And that United defence, as I say, with the clown back in goal, and the way we defended that corner in that friendly the other day against Fiorentina, whatever the hell it was, Fiorentina or someone. Just unmarked players in the box. He could, Gyökeres could have a field day. He really, really could. You can see I'm really, really thinking about this one. You know what? I've got Bowen in there at the moment, but Gyökeres is the one. I like Bowen a lot. Bowen was magnificent for me last year. Every time I brought him in, he was Mr. Consistency, and it's a great fixture. And I think that's where I am ultimately going to go. You can hear my brain working, can't you? But Gyökeres, I love players with that explosive potential. I'm not saying Bowen doesn't have that goal assist in him, particularly in a game like Sunderland. Everything goes through him. He's just brilliant. He's the talisman. Even with Fulcrum's obviously going well. I know a lot of people have ignored Bowen this year because he's been moved, reclassified as a striker, so he loses a clean sheet point. Can anyone remember Bowen getting a clean sheet point last year? Seriously, we're talking about West Ham here. What a ridiculous reason not to have him. Seriously. I'd say Bowen's an 80% lock, but I've just got this feeling that this United-Arsenal game could end up something like 3-3. They look to be a little bit of an understanding building up between Saka and Gyökeres. I remember my very, very, very early drafts. I had Saka and Gyökeres in when I was going the no Sal and Haaland path. And I had both Gyökeres and Saka in. People saying, "Oh yeah, well Saka's not going to be as good an asset." I think he's going to be a better asset. Really do. Really, really likely they will make my wildcard team. Absolutely a high probability of that. even if he loses penalties. He's finally got someone that's going to be hitting that box and being able to finish chances, and Gyökeres is a class striker. Take my word for it. They could do some serious damage against that United team. They really could. Feels stupid not to have one asset. I'm going to leave Bowen open. I really like Bowen. I'm going to give it 70% Bowen at the moment. And 30% that Gyökeres may well find his way in there. That's the only place I'm just leaving a little open. I am waffling, haven't I? Anyway, last but not least, really meaningless. He's yellow flagged at the moment, but he might as well just stay there. Yeah, old Matt Gui. We'll just have that final slot on the bench. Potentially a 4.5 million striker grand. We'll just see what happens with that yellow flag. Not quite sure where that's appeared from. See, it's just, we're not even. Things could happen. Training, anything. Could be more yellow flags could appear. This is virtually a locking, folks. It really is. I haven't got the bounce at how this team shows up in game week 3, but it actually does look really, really decent with the game week 3 fixtures. And we'll do one transfer, which will probably be to bring in United asset, and then the plan, obviously, to see where we're at in staying above that 70-point average. Hopefully, we'll be well off it. It's football, folks. It looks lovely on paper, doesn't it? But football is not played on paper. It's played on a football pitch, and you never know what you're going to get, as far as comes said. Going to leave it at that. Oh, sorry, just last thing. FPL Don't Panic Challenge League. Obviously, deadline is Friday. I will be shutting off entries on deadline. So once we hit Friday, won't be able to join. You see the t-shirt design there. Once it's closed off, I'll make some decisions on the best team name. Some bunch of appears. There's some great team names in there. Really good stuff. We'll run through them. Maybe we'll do a little video on maybe get some of your guidance on what you think is the best team name. So I might actually do a little video on that, a little 5-minute one sometime in the next day or two. But yeah, t-shirt for best team name. And there will be the Bishop Brennan Cup awarded on a weekly basis for the best points scorer, which will take into account taking out any chips used or any hits. It'll be clean game. What did your team achieve? So we'll do the Bishop Brennan Cup, a highly sought after award. It got very competitive last year, by the way, for any new subscribers. And then at the end of the season, obviously, we'll have our winner. And as I said, it'll be a nice, fair competition. So there's no one going to be coming in mid-season, etc. There will be the shut off will be this Friday. So if you're interested, do get on board. Love to have you. It's a fun channel. It's a fun channel. We get some great discussions going in the comments, and certainly some good discussions around Bishop Brennan Cup time when we sort of see what our leader is doing, whoever's leading. Jason Kay was our winner last year, came just outside the top 5,000, and I sort of review what our top high scoring teams, what they've done, some of the good decisions, because I think it goes to helping all of us to try and really get into that top 100k and beyond. Let's get as many of us as we can into that top 100k and higher this year. I will leave it at that for now. That's it, folks. Just that Bowen position, I think, is the one I've got in question. Obviously, subject to pressers and any presser news with any injuries that we don't know about or that may occur in the next few days. But I kind of think that's it, guys. I really do. Have fun. Play your own game. Take care. Don't panic. I'll see you in a few days' time. Bye-bye.